I'm waiting for the day for Robbie to call in. What's the thing called again?
Speakpipe.
And he's like talking in an accent just to get like a voice.
It's so painfully obvious as him.
Content is content, okay? Doesn't matter where it comes from, doesn't matter what it says, as long as it comes from an appropriate source. That's all that matters.
And here we go.
With 2, Roach for the win. It's good!
And he's going to fire from half court off Smith. And it's in! Barrington Harkless banked it in at the buzzer!
Here comes the pass. It's intercepted by Bender. 3 seconds left. Bender throws it down low. Robinson for the win is good!
Hello, friends. Welcome back into another episode of the D1 and Done pod. This episode is brought to you by the official Mountain West correspondent, SEC correspondent, and benefactors of the pod, the Hagen Hall Boys. Make sure you follow us on our social media pages, either on Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram. We also are on YouTube as well. If you prefer to listen to your podcast via YouTube, you can find us and subscribe to us on YouTube. It is D1 and Done Pod. You can shoot us an email at d1anddonepod@gmail.com. You can find our podcast just about anywhere you get your pods. Make sure you leave a review, rate us 5 stars. And we do have our SpeakPipe up and running. It is speakpipe.com/D1anddonepod. You send us a voice message. We answer your question on the pod. We will have a question later on where we have a loyal, devoted GFOP of the pod that will be giving us a question that we will answer later on. So, welcome in. I'm Robbie Donahoe. Nick Mills to my left. Dusty Mills just ahead of me. We are all on location. Fellas, it's good to be. It is good to be back. Good to be back in the home base. And, gosh, what a great week of college hoops. And it only gets better from here.
Yeah, Rob, I'm really glad we're doing this now. Like you mentioned, we have Feast Week coming up. It was a great time for the boys to get together. Because I think we've had, probably 3 straight pods remote, you know? So we've been social distancing. So it's great to be back. Thanks for hosting, Robbie.
Guys, I appreciate you coming all the way here and making this happen. Social distancing, a la 2020. So we are getting the good vibes back from 4 years ago. If this is your first time listening to the pod, first off, where have you been? But second off, the name comes from our good pal just ahead of me here, Dusty Mills. Dusty plays college basketball at the University of Kentucky and Ball State University. And yes, he is he's the first true one and done, as we know. Mm-hmm. And he also is the first person that we know of to be, what's the nice way to put it?
Has to leave on 2 Division I college basketball programs. Kick rocks there.
Speaking of, I'm gonna have a little shout out later in the show on the second one of that of the 2 on that front. So just get excited for that. So, and then Nick and I. Well, Nick had much more success in high school than I did. I was more of the media.
With the ladies too.
Remind me, are you single?
But we're talking about high school Nick though.
Oh, high school Nick. High school Nick.
He was a G, as the kids say.
Was he?
Mm-hmm. I had the Riz. Right.
There's minus 5 points to the pod as we use the word
to the aura of the pod.
We use the word Riz on this pod. All right, so that's where we get the name. Nick and I be done. Dusty is the D1. So we come together, join forces, and our powers combined, we are the D1 and Done pod. So as I mentioned, great week of college hoops. I want to start with Nick. Your top story from the week, Nicholas Mills. It was a fun week of college basketball as the Vikings going down to finish this one off against the Bears.
Yeah, so for the people out there, as recording this, the Bears-Vikings game's in overtime. The Vikings are in the red zone, by the way.
Hey, really quick.
Yeah.
Can I show you guys that I did have my locked in when I was doing my notes, but the game has started?
Good preparation.
Was it UMass?
Yeah, at Florida State minus 5.5.
Okay.
I just want to show because as soon as I looked at my lock, I was like, "Shoot! Has that game started?"
So you had Florida State minus. You picked against UMass?
Yeah, wow. I've given up on them already.
Oh my god!
But I just want to show that you guys saw me take my notes earlier.
I saw you put down UMass.
I just want to know that my lock of the week.
Well,
was
can I
done
just point out the games? It's at halftime, so it's not like it's a winner yet.
I know. I'm just saying if it gets brought up later, like,
are you going to go double lock again this week?
If I lose,
you might. Maybe. All right. We started with Nick with our top stories, and we have to start with Nick. So get us going here,
Yes,
Nick.
I will start off. My story of the week is Shaka Smart and the Marquette Golden Eagles.
I'm so glad you brought them up.
First of all, I'll start with the Marquette side of things. Okay, first of all, the last 3 games, and I believe it was like so they played Georgia in a 7-day span. They beat Maryland, Purdue, and Georgia. Granted, I don't think any of them were a true road game. I think they got, but still,
Maryland was the true road game.
Right,
yes,
so,
they did play Maryland.
So you're right. They did all three. One at Maryland, home against Purdue, and beat, we think, a sneaky good Georgia team.
Pretty decent, yeah.
Was a dark horse tournament team. So, again, a good 3-day stretch. Remember, this is a team brought back a lot, but they lost probably 2 of their top 3 players, and Oso and Kolick. So the fact they've turned around and look really good doing it, too. Oh my gosh. So it's that, and I want to parlay and talk about Shaka Smart, like his whole kind of arc, if you will, right? He was at VCU. He was the hot young name, took him to the Final Four, had good success at VCU after even the Final Four, and then he goes to Texas, and I'm not going to say it went, poorly per se, but it was, I have it right here. 6 years at Texas, only 3 tournament appearances, did not win a single tournament game at Texas. It's just...
That's crazy.
And it just never really clicked. But now, Robbie, he's at year 4 at Marquette. He's 81-30. He's been a 2 seed each of the past 2 years. Granted, there are still some tournament questions about him. He still's not, I believe, made it to the second weekend other than his Final Four run.
Did they make this? They made it the second weekend this past year and lost to NC State.
Right, so that was the first. Thank you, last year. So again, it's just amazing. I'm not gonna say it. He kind of fallen off. When you thought of college basketball, Shaka Smart was not one of the names you thought of, and now just like that. And we talked about this last week before they played Purdue. He's kind of built his program the same way Matt Painter has. They do transfers, not anti-transfers, but is based on guys like Cam Jones being there for a while. Kolick was there because he started with George Mason himself, Kolick. Right. So I just think it's cool as Shaka Smart and Marquette's become. Because, again, Marquette themselves are kind of dead in the water for a little bit there. Buzz Williams famously, or at least I always joke about, left them for Virginia Tech, which still cracks me up. One of the weirdest moves ever.
In those tight pants.
He's always sweating bullets. Shout out to him. So, yeah, shout out Shaka Smart. Great week for him. And again, they're not just one of the most consistent programs in the country all of a sudden.
I'm glad you brought them up because I was going to shout them out on another segment of the pod, but I sneaky like Marquette a lot.
And again, they lost, hair in my mouth, they lost Tyler Kolick and Oso from last year, and they just are, dare I say, look even better.
They look, we will talk about the Purdue game a little bit later with them and Marquette, but they locked up Purdue. It was impressive. I will be honest. I'm going to be a Marquette fan from here on out. If you're picking them to lose before the Sweet 16, I think you're doing a disservice to your bracket this year. I think they're a Sweet 16, potentially Final Four caliber good. Now, if they run into a team that can rebound the heck out of the ball, that's going to be their big downfall, because they're just not a great rebounding team. But man, they can get in your face and D you up. So yeah, I'm right there with you on Marquette. I really like them.
Dusty, what do you think of Shaka Smart? I think I've never heard your thoughts on them.
Well, I always liked him. He was on that coaching staff for Florida when they won back-to-back.
I forgot about that. That's right.
It was always assumed that he was going to be who comes in for Donovan after if he ever retired or obviously left for the NBA. But
I never knew that.
Yeah, so have always liked Shaka Smart. Very fiery. But him never winning a tournament game at Texas is
crazy.
That makes no sense.
Absolutely crazy.
That really doesn't make
sense. And they were
sense.
a 3 seed one year. They had some good teams there, too.
Who beat them?
That was Abilene Christian, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. That was the COVID year.
Now I've gotten that right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just, wild. Yeah, I think this is probably, this feels like the VCU team that made it to the Final Four. This feels like that kind of a team that just gets in your face, gets after it, and
they play so hard.
So hard. They look so athletic against
Purdue. This is the first team that I can truly say this is the Havoc kind of team that he had when he was at VCU. They got it now. David Joplin finally had his coming out party against Georgia, had 29 points and 6 for 11 from 3. Cam Jones, I'll be honest, has not been putting up these crazy numbers, but he's just been steady and so solid and so good across the board.
You know what's crazy about Cam Jones? So Gary Parrish, if you don't know, he's a big college basketball guy from Memphis. He's in and out of the program.
Yeah, Memphis guy. Yep.
Cam Jones is from Memphis. Mm-hmm. Not recruited at all from Memphis. That's just crazy to me.
That makes no sense.
Guy like that in their backyard, but he's awesome.
That's shocking. Yeah. So Marquette, man, I'm a big believer in Marquette from here on out. Seeing them play in person against Purdue, and I know you look at the scoreline when they played Purdue. I think that's a little deceiving, winning by double digits. I think Purdue played okay. They didn't play great, but Marquette, I can't say enough good things about them. I think they're going to be really, really good down the stretch.
And one of us picked them to win the Big East, so shout out to whoever picked that.
I wonder who that was.
Smart guy. He must be 3-0 in his locks, too.
Dusty, who'd you pick to win the Big East?
Creighton?
St. John's?
I think you picked St. John's, yeah. So that's not terrible.
Johnny's.
The Paul's 7-0. Watch out for them. Or something, no.
Watch out. Did you just utter the words watch out for DePaul?
That's probably been the first time since like 02.
No one has ever said that.
With an L, by the way, not a W.
Correct, yes. L. Dusty, how about the Nebraska Cornhuskers? My gosh. You have been reveling in this opportunity for this moment right here.
I have a top 3 list.
Yes?
Top 3 biggest wins in Nebraska program history.
Is this strictly basketball?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Number 4, beating Florida by like 70 in the national championship in football.
Okay.
In 95. There you go.
Tommy
Number
Frazier,
3,
yep.
in 1897, they won their inaugural game against Lincoln YMCA 11-8. That's number 3. Number 2.
Hold on, was that 20-minute halves, 11-8?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Could not find footage. Number 2, in 1958, they lost to Kansas and Wilt Chamberlain 102-46. Wilt Chamberlain had 46 points, so he tied them in that game. They had a rematch later in the year, and they beat Kansas 43-41. And Jim Kabechi hit the game winner with 4 seconds left.
I love this.
So that's number 2. Number 1, Creighton, kick freaking rock. Yes! Nebraska. I don't even know what Nebraska's record is this year. They could be 1-9 for all I know.
They're 1-0 in your book, crap.
That's all that matters.
But they beat Creighton last week. Those frauds, 74-63. The same Creighton team that needed what's his name to have
Ryan Kalkbrenner
to have a Chamberlain-esque game to hold off UMBC, I believe it was, or Maryland Eastern Shore, one of the two.
It was Maryland Eastern Shore,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So that is the number 1 win in my book for Nebraska basketball.
Don't look now, but Nebraska's 4-1. Their only loss is to St. Mary's.
Hell yeah.
So watch it. But yeah,
WCC.
I'm going to bring up that Creighton game a little bit later because I still cannot.
That's why I was
believe
focusing
that
on
happened.
Nebraska, not Creighton.
And I appreciate that. Yeah.
By the way, Nebraska team
Wow.
made the tournament last year, first time under Hoiberg. Don't think it was expected to be anything this year. So
And they lost a lot of their players. They lost a couple really good players to the transfer portal. CJ Wiltshire's at Texas A&M now. I know Rick Mast, who is like that big guy, he's out for the season with an injury. You lost Keisei Tominaga. They lost some good players. You go on the road and win at Creighton by double digits.
maybe the most, dare I say, bizarre result of the year so far.
Next to Auburn's horseplay win. I mean, it's crazy.
Also, my notes told me to pick 2 teams. My second one's going to be quick and simple.
I like it quick and simple.
We'll move on to you. Thank you, Nick. Kentucky is good. Go ahead, Robbie.
Kentucky is very good. I would agree with that. My top story, and I'm concerned, guys. I think the ACC is in big trouble this year. If you look at their conference right now, find me more than 3 teams that are going to make the tournament. So Duke and North Carolina, and probably Pitt. Probably.
Because one team will.
One team's going to backdoor their way in and make it in. Find me a 4th. So let's run through
NC
it.
State, maybe?
NC State's okay. They're undefeated, but they haven't beaten anybody.
Everyone from last year.
Lost everyone.
Everyone.
Stanford's undefeated, but it's Stanford. Wake Forest got rolled by Xavier. Florida State, Cal, Clemson, Notre Dame just lost to Elon. Boston College, Louisville, SMU, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Miami, Georgia Tech. Find me a 4th. The ACC might get 3 teams into the tournament this year.
And what's crazy, Robbie, this is like year 3 or 4 of the ACC just being down. Like, I'm trying to look up our brackets right now. I believe one year they either had 3 or 4 teams only make it. Like, because when we were growing up and for a long time, it was one of the best basketball conferences.
It
consistently.
was the best.
Yes.
And this is like year 3 or 4 now of it just being meh. Like they were talking about Pittsburgh being the 3rd best team right now. Yeah, I'm with you, Robbie.
I'm very concerned. And overall, the conference doesn't really have a ton of really good non-conference wins. Clemson lost to Boise State. That could have been, I guess, a good win. Stanford needed a buzzer beater to win at Santa Clara over the weekend. Like,
and it's tough because their traditional powers like Louisville and Syracuse have just been kind of in this weird, like, basically, I guess purgatory. Like, it's in a really bad spot. And Virginia's the other one now, losing Tony Bennett.
My gosh, Virginia's been terrible.
Who's still not won a tournament game since they won a Natty. So I'm with you, Robbie. It's pretty bleak for the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Speaking of Pittsburgh, can we get something added to our soundboard?
Ooh.
What do you want to add?
We need the Synod and Jerome.
Oh.
If one of us makes a good take,
That's a great.
just hit
That's
that.
a great idea. Okay. I'll add that.
Also, Dan Marino's an asshole.
That's
Go
actually
ahead.
the best. That's really the best thing we can say about the ACC right now. Is that Synod and Jerome was sick.
Very much so.
I think that's our best takeaway from
But
this.
okay, so it's a 3-team league right now. That's it. But I wonder if, when we get into conference play, if you're going to see some teams try to distance themselves, but you look at an NC State and let's say they get to third in the ACC and they're playing really well. They have to play at Kansas. They play Purdue coming up this week.
You told about Clemson?
Yeah, Clemson. Or
Kentucky?
NC State, NC
okay.
State. So Kansas, Purdue, and Texas are on their non-conference slate. If they don't win any of those, they will not have a primary, really good non-conference win. How do you put them in the tournament if they just start beating up on ACC teams when they get into conference play?
And also Clemson plays home against Kentucky.
Yeah.
I know they have that because there's the ACC SEC challenge. So also the ACC has to probably kill that, honestly.
They do. Yeah.
And the other side of it, obviously, is there's only so many good wins within the conference now. So
That's the problem, yeah.
Yeah.
AC and Louisville's in a similar situation. Louisville has to beat IU this week. Has to win at Atlantis to beat them to start off there. They play Ole Miss a week after that. They also play as you mentioned, at Kentucky. They also play Duke in early December. You don't have the opportunity for these non-conference wins because they got rolled by Tennessee at home.
Rolled.
It was not close. I have concerns about the ACC going forward that if they get a fourth team, it's going to be very good fortune. I think 4 is their ceiling. I don't think they get any more than 4 teams in.
Yeah, last year Clemson was a 6 seed. I think there's going to be some team like that who goes, finishes second,
Possibly.
third in the conference.
That may be Wake Forest. Now, Wake Forest has been a little disappointing to start the season. I mean, Xavier crushed them.
They're
on
the
road
new
there.
Seth Greenberg Virginia Tech team. They're just perpetually on the bubble every single year.
And Steve Forbes' teams are always really good, but Dusty's Miami team. Lord. Gosh, they're terrible.
They're in my notes. Don't worry.
Okay, we'll talk about them later.
Now your Dolphins, though.
Yeah.
How about
Dolphins are marching down the
Dolphins
field.
got
By the way,
Dolphins.
by the way,
marching down
crap,
the field.
Raiders are winning right now. For
Ooh,
both.
the baby.
In the mix, baby.
Let's talk about other top stories from the weekend. Did you guys see these comments from Ed Cooley?
Yeah, I was going to mention this in the funnies. Let's do this now.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to mention the funnies, then
Okay.
I'll wait on it.
Okay,
then.
perfect.
But just have it in the back of your mind that it's going to be a really funny comment that Ed Cooley talks about it. That's the head coach of Georgetown.
Very random.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Just wait on it. Has Tennessee become the best transfer in college basketball? Because Dalton Knecht, nobody wanted him, and he comes in and just lights the world on fire. Chaz Lanier is a dude. He's so good at Tennessee.
Did you guys see Connect 2 for the Lakers?
Yes, he's been great.
Yeah, rookie record for most threes in a game with 9.
How Connect and McCain both fell in the draft is beyond me.
Doesn't make any sense.
I don't understand it at all.
Can we shout out Rick Barnes?
Nah.
We are
good.
shouting out. I don't care. We're shouting out Rick
Shout-outs are
Barnes
at the end.
Okay, but Rick Barnes has got cast aside, basically told, "Please get out of Texas." Okay, I'll step down, and he has been excellent at Tennessee. He's finally broken through to the second weekend. He's so close to getting to teams to Final Fours. If it wasn't for a great team that's in West Lafayette, Indiana, they would be in the Final Four. But unfortunately, they just keep running into Purdue. But regardless, Tennessee, keep an eye on them going forward because they are very, very good.
I will say, by all accounts, Rick Barnes is a great guy.
Yes, he is.
But I'll give him no credit, though.
I like everything else about Tennessee except their fan base. Miami is a mess.
Real quick, you mentioned the best transfer program. I think UConn should be mentioning that because it seems like everyone when they're natties,
No,
they're full
we're not
of
giving UConn credit.
I just want-
No, move it on.
Oh, so you'll give Rick Barnes credit?
Yes,
You can't
I'm going to give
UConn credit.
I'm not giving UConn credit. No.
Yes, UConn.
Good one. Vandy might be good.
Vandy's a team I want to talk about as well.
Okay.
You skipped over Miami too.
I was going to. Well, I'm waiting on Miami.
Vandy
with
is
him.
fun to watch. I watched 2 of their games, and they
They play well.
Very fun. Yeah.
AJ Hogard is there and he's succeeding. That's the James Madison head coach Mark Byington that came over to Vandy. They play a great style of basketball. Vandy, man, they're good.
That SEC dude it's just
It is
loaded.
loaded.
This is so random to say, but late 2000s, Vanderbilt basketball, when it's good for some reason, is fun to watch.
John
And
Jenkins, Riley LaChance,
all those names you could throw. I have no. Who was the big guy?
Oh, Ogilvy.
AJ Ogilvy,
Yeah. And they had
Luke Cornett was there too.
mid 2000s. They had
Jeffrey Taylor, is that a name?
Jeffrey Taylor was there too.
Taylor.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They had a big white. Am I allowed to say oaf? Is that a fair-
Ogilvy.
Isn't that Ogilvy?
No, before
Different
him.
guy?
There was someone before
He
him.
started with an S. Was his last
Who's
name?
the shooter too? White guy shooter. Brad. I was like, I need to look this up.
They've had such fun. We
Look
need
it
to
up
do
and find
just a Vandy episode.
Yeah, they're like you said, they're like oddly fun.
I
They're-
like
they
when
are.
Vanderbilt's good.
I know people hate on their home court. I love Memorial
My final
Gymnasium.
game at Kentucky.
Oh yeah, because that was the laughing incident. That's right.
No. That's when I got kicked off for laughing.
Brad Tinsley. Not to cut off your.
Brad Tinsley. Whoa,
White
what
shooter.
a name.
They had someone to start with an S in the mid 2000s. He was a
I
big
just
guy.
remember John Jenkins was just
Festus
just straight up.
Festus Azili.
Oh, I remember
Cecily,
him.
what a
He was
great
in the NBA for a little bit, I believe.
Got a ring with the Warriors. I love we're just naming Vanderbilt.
Oh, this is great.
This is just guys being dudes
Oh, this
right
is
now.
guys being dudes for sure. So yeah, just Vandy, keep an eye on them. They're going to surprise some people when they get in SEC play.
Hey,
They're good.
Crab called that before the year, I believe. Keep an eye on Vandy.
Thank you.
Wow, that's shocking.
Try to be nice.
I like Nashville.
You guys heard about what is going on with Aaron Bradshaw at Ohio State?
Oh my gosh.
Are we
this is-
surprised?
Is it all still alleged? Is there anything?
Everything's alleged. Nothing's confirmed. It's just he's out indefinitely, and Ohio State cannot explain the reasons because of federal privacy laws, which means it's
Most likely
probably
gambling.
significant
Yeah.
of what it is. Yes.
And for people who didn't see, a Temple player, I believe
Just had a
did-
point shaving.
Like I
issue.
think that's like legit.
Not,
like,
not saying Bradshaw's involved with that.
right.
Or
Sure.
just
It's just-
allegations.
right. So like people are trying to like wonder if there's a connection there or anything. But yeah, it's definitely not good for
Some
our
questions.
Yeah.
Some questions. I mean, man, he had so much hype going into Kentucky last year.
If-
and he looked good to start the season, too.
If anyone remembers, his first game with us was not till at Florida, which was like early January, and he looked awesome. He was a 5-star All-American.
Did he play in the CBS Sports Classic? Was it against North Carolina? Or was it against Ohio State? I feel like he played in that. And he just looked great.
North Carolina.
North
You're right.
Carolina.
Okay.
You're right. Good
and
call.
he
That
played so well, and I was like, this dude's really good.
Right, he was a stretch 5. He could protect the rim, shoot
Yeah.
threes, and it fell off somewhere. And
He's had some issues off the court.
it just stinks to see, especially going to have all that hype coming in and to be at the spot right
So I
now.
would say
much so.
next episode, hopefully we have an
Yeah,
update.
I would imagine we'll probably have some more information on that.
Can I blame Cal for this too?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, for
Add that to
sure.
resume.
Please do.
Mhm.
Arizona's not good. Arizona's
Arizona, get out of my life.
Arizona-
I'm so sick of that.
Arizona is not good.
Ever since losing to Buffalo years ago, I am done with Arizona.
When they legitimately
Wow.
quit in the first half.
I mean, Duke
Miles Simon says, "Get the hell out of here, Arizona."
Duke looked really good in that game.
They
Cooper
did.
Flag, Concanipple.
Held
I
them to
mean,
55 points in that
Yeah.
game.
That's at Arizona. Like, Arizona at home is a different animal.
Yeah.
And Duke made them look very average. I mean, Jaden Bradley's been really good for him to start the season.
My guy.
But Caleb Love sucks. Let's be frank. Caleb Love sucks. And I don't know why Tommy Lloyd still thinks that he needs to take things through Caleb Love for this team to be good.
I've said a million times, I'll never say a bad word about him because, again, he killed
put
the
Duke
devil.
out. We know.
But I should probably read his stat lines for the first
Please
4 games.
do.
In order, 17, 10, 6, and 8. He has scored 14 combined points versus Duke and Wisconsin. And the vibes are just
Terrible.
not. Can I ask something? This is like a little theory I'm thinking on. If you stick around too long, like, do you kind of just lose that fire and hunger? Like, do you just kind of feel like the old guy? Like, again, Caleb Love, he was on the, reached about as high as the piece you can get at the
Yeah.
Final Four,
Yeah.
beating Duke. Oh, now you're a fifth-year guy, Zona. I don't know. Maybe just, I don't know. Feel like you
Is he cashing it in,
That's
laying
what-
back?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if we see this more and more.
Like
guys.
overstaying his welcome.
That's what I'm
in a
saying.
sense.
This is a theory I might be, looking at a little bit. Because R.J. Davis has looked a little shaky too, by the way.
Well, I think R.J. Davis's downfall started last year against Alabama in that Sweet 16 game. It's been downhill ever since then. But ever since that national championship run from him with North Carolina, he has not been the same.
right, because that year after too, when they were like #1 preseason,
He was unstoppable when he played against Purdue at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
We could not stop him. He was so good. Ever since then, he fell off a cliff. He has not been good since then. And I don't know why Arizona keeps trying to play through him, but it's the wrong decision.
He's shooting 21% from 3 at the moment.
I mean, I can do better than that. You and I, we all could do better than that.
Quiet.
It's Arizona is a conundrum right now, and Tommy Lloyd's got bigger issues
Yeah, they
that he needs to
have
deal with.
2 losses on Thanksgiving. And I believe that they play not in season, like a tournament next week, right? Against some good teams. So they could have a couple losses.
And they're not covered off by the Pac-12 anymore. You have to play in the toughest, arguably the second or first toughest conference in the country now. You got to play in the Big 12. Like it's not easy anymore for Arizona. You don't have that buffer of sitting pretty in the Pac-12 and playing against nobody.
And you have to travel a long ways too.
That too. I think Arizona's in big trouble. We'll see how it goes going forward.
And shout out Duke too. Great win. 55 again. Gave up 55 points. Yeah.
Duke's real deal. As all of us probably don't want to admit, Duke's probably real deal. Does IU have some issues?
Oof.
Attendance, like I said last time.
Well, that's continued. I was not impressed against them against Greensboro. They did not look good. And I feel like it's the same stuff that continues to pop up. It's 3-point shooting. It's what is their identity? They're going to be a good defensive team. Do they have anyone coming off the bench? Can anyone shoot threes? Miles Rice has been great for them.
Miles Rice has been the guy. Mackenzie
Mbako had his first bad game.
They have no structure.
And they don't.
And I'm rooting for Mike Woodson, but that comes down to coaching.
I'm not. I'm rooting for IU. I'm not rooting for Mike Woodson. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm stunned you're rooting for IU though.
I will be.
But there's no structure. They have no. Yes. There's no game plan. It feels like going to games.
Ever since Purdue made the Final Four, I've gotten soft. I'll be honest.
And you like Joe Steele? Shout out.
Joe and I are buddies. We'll get along. Well, it's weird.
Well, IU's a football school at this point. Do they really actually care?
Are they still a football school after Saturday?
Bring that up.
I mean, they're going to make the playoff now.
They probably are going to make the playoff. Weirdly enough, I wanted IU to be competitive on Saturday in that football game, and I grew up as an Ohio State fan, and I want the Buckeyes to do well.
Oh, I always cheer for IU football. It's fun to watch.
It is.
Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. It's fun to root for a team that usually never wins, right?
We have a lot of IU friends, and like I enjoy seeing my friends happy and have joy in their life. Now, there's certain
some
friends.
Of my friends.
Yeah, some of them.
It depends on the
Now, there's certain friends that are Notre Dame football fans. I don't want them to have any success at all.
The Notre Dame football IU basketball fan combo?
That does not count. But, I mean, Malik Renew, 9 points, 10 rebounds. He was fine. Mackenzie Mbako, 9 points on 2 of 11 shooting. This is where I was worried with IU because Miles Rice has been playing very well. And Mbako's been playing really well, too. Mbako had his first bad game, and you saw IU struggle. And that's where I'm concerned going forward is they don't get enough. Like, you don't get enough from Umar Ballo. He's going to get you 10 and 10, probably, almost every game. But outside of that, what else is he going to give you? Because you're not a team that plays through the post. Like, IU wants to be a team that's going to drive and dish or get to the rim. Like, they're not a team that plays a post player back to the basket. That's just not their thing. So I worry about them going forward.
Agreed.
They've got so much talent, man. They're so talented.
Their starters were 4 of 16 from 3 in this game. So, yeah, I think it's the same question to ask about them. Feels
3-point shooting.
This whole what's an era.
3-point shooting. Bryson Tucker played his first really good game for IU, 14 points off the bench. Luke Goody still has not done enough for this team off the bench. I still got a lot of major questions about IU. And
4-0.
But they are 4-0. They're going to find out how good they are very quick because they're going to Atlantis this week. We'll talk about them later. I want to mention Texas. A team that Dusty rated where in his preseason top 25?
10th or 11th?
I was going to say 12th, and now they're not ranked.
Okay. Don't put down Texas too quickly. I just want to throw that out there. Have you looked at their roster? Just like the kind of team that's constructed?
Durant, TJ Ford,
PJ Tucker, AJ Abrams. If you
live off Max Asmus, I'm going to be pissed. Come on. Yes, Tremont Mark has not played yet this year, but so Trey Johnson has been awesome for them. Arthur Kaluma, former Creighton guy, played at Kansas State last year, really good. Julian Larry, that's an Indiana State transfer, really good. Caden Shedrick, former Virginia guy, solid. Texas has some talent. Don't discount them just yet. Just keep them on your radar. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Just be aware of what's going on with them.
I just can't wait to do so many horns down at the SEC tournament this year.
Oh, that's good.
And their coach looks like Gustavo Fring, so that's pretty cool.
Yes, oh my God, he does. Now that you just said that, I didn't think about that.
Isn't that great?
Virginia's terrible. Holy gosh.
I have nothing else to add.
Virginia's terrible. That's all we need to say. Virginia's bad. Pitt might be the third best team in the ACC. I can't believe that Pitt's the third best team in the ACC, but they might.
Jeff Capel, they're just kind of like this every year.
They're going to be there. Even losing Bub Carrington, like they're still right there. Like they've been good. Can I submit the Atlantic 10 as the fourth best conference in college basketball right now?
Why, yes, you can, Robbie.
Okay, I would like to, because you have, obviously VCU had a tough week, but VCU's still there.
I'll get to them later.
St. Joe's played pretty tough over the weekend. Loyola's undefeated. The Bonnies are undefeated. Dayton's undefeated. You got some really good teams in Davidson, George Washington. St. Louis is going to be there with Josh Schertz.
Mm-hmm. Is Sister Jean still alive?
Yes. I would sure hope so.
Okay, just when you said Loyola.
Okay.
Wow, Nick.
I didn't say. I just said yes.
What's funny about all of this is the team that made the tournament, winning the A10 conference last year, Duquesne. They're 0-5
because they weren't good last year.
They weren't very good last year.
They stumbled it.
I want to throw this out there. I think the A10 might be the fourth best conference in college basketball right now. And that means that's SEC, that's Big 12, Big 10, then the A10.
So are we now going to become a A10 podcast?
We're about to be an A10 pod?
So if people who didn't listen last year, we went all in on the Mount. We were a Mountain West podcast last year.
We will not be a Mountain West
crushed
podcast.
our souls.
We will not be a Mountain
As
West
we knew it was
podcast.
going to.
So yeah, are we A10 boys?
I'm fine with it.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Okay, A10 pod from here on out.
Okay.
All right.
Lock it in.
The new sponsor.
I was going to say the sponsor may pull a sponsorship, so we might have some issues with that.
Yeah, next Polly might be back via Mountain West podcast.
The bags of money. That's what pushes how we're going to act going forward.
that $1 a pod that we don't get paid.
Did we see the Baylor winner over St. John's? That should not have happened.
I was watching live.
That should not have happened. Like, how did Baylor win that game over St. John's?
I do not know. If people want to see, it was a 5-point game with
a minute to go. Well, 10 seconds to go. Yeah, because then I can't remember how it happened. I mean, they had a buzzer beater to win.
So Patino blamed the refs.
Oh, this was funny.
They did a review.
I should have added this to my funnies.
Which he felt like they iced his free throw shooter. Then comes down, misses a free throw of 4.3 or something like that, and Baylor comes down, and our boy Roach just drains a three.
Jeremy Roach, baby, that's my guy. And then a couple other mentions I want to pass along. Alabama looked really good against Illinois, and Alabama still has not gotten Mark Sears at his best yet. That's scary that they're playing.
Well, again, when I texted you guys the next day, I did not see the box score to the next day because I knew he didn't really do much, but 0 points in a win over them. In Illinois,
and they still won by double digits. Illinois is still
top 5 Big Ten team.
I was going to say Illinois is still a very good team, but Alabama made Illinois look very, very, very ordinary. So they have not gotten their best from Mark Sears. Can we listen to Kevin Willard, the Maryland head coach? We're going to listen to him on what he thinks about Ken Pom. He had a great quote about it after his press conference. It's fantastic. You're going to love it.
So sometimes Ken Pom's full.
I know we could use that word on this.
well, we can. I mean, we're going to have to blur it out. But, yeah, so sometimes Ken Pom is full of ish. I wanted to pass it along because it made me laugh.
Kevin Willard?
Yeah, so Kevin Willard on Ken Pom. Let's mention real quick, probably the game of the week was Purdue-Marquette. And Marquette, I thought, looked very, 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 very good. Are we concerned about Purdue currently?
No.
Are any concerns?
No.
Okay.
They didn't play that game, 4 days after beating Bama. It was a tough road environment. I take nothing away from that. Purdue.
And they have my boy Braden Smith.
That's what we're calling him now?
So speaking...
Oh, no, I'm full-blown 180 on Braden Smith. I love Braden Smith.
Hell yeah.
I love that happened. Do you know what Braden's stat line was on Friday against Marshall? Or Saturday against Marshall, I should say.
We are.
It was like Chamberlain numbers?
Correct. No. So Purdue beat Marshall 80-45. We're going to talk about Purdue later in the show.
That's the worst thing that's ever happened to Marshall.
No, it's not. Braden Smith had 0 points, 9 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, and Purdue wins by 35.
Yeah, he sucks.
Wow.
Are we back?
Goose?
He scored 0 points, and they still win by 35.
Has Marshall... Do they have the playbook on him now? Have they shown how to play him?
But I think... So Braden Smith went into that game, and I could tell he was not searching for his shot. He didn't need to.
Evidently.
Right. He only shot it 4 times. But he and Purdue former point guard P.J. Thompson, who's an assistant on the team now, it looked like they had some collusion going on trying to get other guys involved. It felt like a game where he wanted to get other guys involved. He had 9 assists. Cam Heide had 13 points. Miles Colvin had 13 points.
Fake punt.
Across the board, it felt like Purdue was just kind of a different team in that game. We're going to talk about this new Purdue lineup later in the show when we get to our Speakpipe. But I was pretty impressed with Purdue coming back after that loss to Marquette.
One more other result. I see Gonzaga did beat San Diego State on Monday.
They did.
Just
very impressive.
Just a reason I want to bring up just Gonzaga, another just good win start off the year for them.
So we're going to talk about, I want to have this for a top story in another pod, but I think the teams with roster continuity have been very impressive to start the season.
Yeah, them, Purdue, and Marquette.
Purdue, Marquette, Gonzaga.
Kentucky.
You could even throw no. You could throw North Carolina in there a little bit. So we'll talk about it in another pod. Any other results that stand out from the week? I've got a few, but any other surprise results over the last week of college hoops?
I'll go first. I mean, for people who haven't seen my top 25, I've had VCU there at 25th. I really like them, and they had a tough week. They went 0-2, lost to both Seton Hall and Nevada. Granted,
you can't lose to Seton Hall. You can't. They're not a good team.
No, and each by 3 points. So it's not like they
were there.
They were there. One was in overtime. I can't remember which one. So just feel like I try and be accountable on this show, Robbie. So
I appreciate that.
Tough 0-2 week for them, but hey, it's November 24th. Sometimes you have to fall down and learn to pick yourself back up, whatever the damn saying is. So yeah, Rams.
Dusty? Your surprising result, or any results that stand out from the week?
I mean, I know from our board. There's a team I was going to talk about that I'll just throw out right now in the next segment. I want to talk about Butler real quick. After losing to one-armed Austin P, they did run off 3 straight.
With their coach in full military attire.
Oh, yeah.
That is correct, yes.
If you have not looked it up, please look it up. It's amazing. They've won 3 straight, all by double digits. You guys were talking about the Arizona tournament, the Arizona tip-off. I'm eager to see Butler because it's Butler, so they're always just going to be pesky. So this week they play Northwestern. After that, they'll either play win or lose against Mississippi State or UNLV. I think there's going to be 2 games early in the year where – and the reason I'm impressed by them is because they don't win pretty ever, but to have 3 straight – and it was Western Michigan, SMU, and Merrimack were their 3 wins by double digits.
Right.
But
there we go.
I'm kind of eager to see how they perform during Feast Week.
I want to bring up that Merrimack game real quick. I don't know. Did you watch that game at all?
No.
Okay. So I want to bring up the score just because it is a shocking scoreline. Once I find it on my screen, I'm trying to. Here we go. So they won 78-39. It was a 37-31 game at the half. So close game at the half, right? Butler outscored Merrimack 41-8 in the second half.
41-8.
41-8.
That's Grambling State women's basketball territory right there.
Yes. Pierre Brooks 23-12. It's a weird Butler team, but they've got some good pieces.
Agreed.
I don't know. Keep an eye on them. I want to go back to that Nebraska Creighton game, and I want to shout out Nebraska one more time. I mean, you win at Creighton, that's a big deal. Somehow,
Is it?
Yes, it is. Somehow, and I don't know how Fred Hoiberg has done this because he did this a lot with Purdue teams in the past. He has found ways to defend big guys on their. I don't know how he does it. Ryan Kalkbrenner. How many times did he shoot the ball this past week against Nebraska?
I don't even know. It's gonna be super high or super low. I'll go low. I'll say 4.
4, Dusty. Do you know the answer?
I don't.
Okay.
I'll say 17 then.
So 17 shots. He shot the ball 1 time.
1?
He was 0 for 1 from the field. Ryan Kalkbrenner had 1 shot. 1 field goal attempt.
Sounds like Robbie on our Friday night. 1 shot's all I need.
1 shot's all I need. Can you believe that?
No. 1.
He had 4 points, 11 rebounds. He had more shots at the free throw line than he did from the field.
That's crazy.
It's somehow, and Fred Hoiberg did this when it was Zach Edey with Travion Williams. He has found ways to defend the big guys, and I am so impressed with Fred Hoiberg as a coach. Like Nebraska should never get rid of him because Nebraska has never been relevant in basketball, and now they finally are. I know they kind of had a little bit of a run in the past, but this Nebraska team is going to surprise some people because they have a great coach.
Controlled the whole game. This was not
from
fluky.
start to finish. No, it was not a fluke.
Live update. My lock of the week is up 23 at the moment.
Your lock of the week, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. It's fine. It is what it is.
You watched me write it down. You watched me take my notes.
I did. Okay, but
real question. So Nebraska became bowl eligible this weekend. What do you think their fans care about more? Which result?
Volleyball.
Yeah.
they will definitely 100% care about volleyball more. Absolutely 100%. The other surprising result from the weekend, and I cannot believe this happened. Remember we were talking about Notre Dame and how, Micah Shrewsbury, they're going through this renaissance. Oh, my gosh, they're so good. Marcus Burton, Braden Shrewsbury, they're so good. They lost to Elon at home this past week. And that is an Elon team that is coached by none other than Billy Taylor. How about...
Shout out Billy Taylor.
How about Billy Taylor, Dusty's former coach at Ball State, goes to Elon, then goes back to his alma mater and wins in South Bend at Notre Dame. How about that?
Billy Taylor's back.
Billy Taylor's back,
Don't let Billy Taylor get hot.
Don't let him get hot, baby.
Come on the pod, Billy Taylor.
And Billy Gillespie, I think, is 1-5 right now.
It's not great.
Someone should hire him. Why not?
Someone should hire him.
But yeah, what a just bad result for Notre Dame.
Really bad. You can't lose to Elon at home. Again, Notre Dame's not a great team. They got good pieces, but I feel like they're kind of just still figuring it out. So.
And they were winning at halftime, too, Notre Dame.
They were up at half 46-41, yeah. So a little bit of a surprise.
Wait, I'm looking at the box. Is Shrewsbury's kid on the team?
Yes, Braden's on the team. Yep.
Did not know that.
Good player. Really good player. Really good shooter. So him and Marcus Burton are just jacking up as many shots as they can, and we'll see where they go from there. So while we're talking about surprising things, I want to talk about teams that have surprised or teams that have disappointed through the first 3-4 weeks, first month of college basketball. Nick, I want to start with you. The team that surprised you the most.
Yeah, I told him last pod, but I feel like I was trying. You're trying to get cute with this, but I just feel like it's Wisconsin. That's the one I just have to. So again, I mentioned the last pod. Did not view them as a tournament team at all. And they beat Arizona. And by the way, scored 103 points. And then yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago, they beat Central Florida, who beat a good
UCF.
Texas. Again,
they crushed UCF.
Crushed them, scored 86 points. Again, that's 86 points again for them.
What world are we in where Wisconsin scoring more than 70? This is crazy.
It's crazy consistently in, is it Tanji?
John Tanji, baby.
Double digits in every game, 21 points per game. They're up to 30th in KenPom. We told this is kind of a weaker Big Ten. So they could be, maybe they're potentially the ones who can win it. So, yeah, just shout to Wisconsin. Just 2 good results for them in the way they're doing it. John Tanji. Shout out Greg Gard. He was kind of a sneaky hot seat candidate.
Hot seat, yeah.
Like maybe they had another bad year. So
I agree.
Looking good to start for the Badgers.
So they play Pitt tonight in the Greenbrier. That game's going to be finished by the time probably you listen to this pod. So Pitt, Wisconsin's a big game for both teams. Dusty, who's been your surprise so far of this year?
It's not a surprise, sorry. But I put Memphis. Just that they have wins over Missouri, UNLV, and San Francisco.
That San Francisco was a road win, too.
Correct. And I was going to say in the city, but obviously it's in San Francisco.
Yeah.
It was in Chase Center, where the Warriors
which is still San Francisco, yes.
Yeah. So just keep an eye on them. Memphis is always, as we know, like an up and down team with basketball and football and as a city itself. But yeah, I really like how Memphis started.
How dare you say that about Memphis?
Can I shout Penny Hardaway? I thought this was really smart because they're going to Maui this week.
Yes, they are.
Having a pit stop in San Fran on the way, I think it's pretty smart logistics right there.
North Carolina did the same thing. They played Hawaii a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah. I like good. Shout the schedule.
Makes a ton of sense.
It was a 12:30 a.m. tip-off. And I think they won by about 25.
Keep an eye on Memphis because, again, you know who they play the first game in Maui? UConn.
Ever heard of them?
Ooh, the baby. That's going to be coming up tomorrow. So that is a Monday 2:30 p.m. game.
We'll get to it, but Maui's
going to be good.
For it.
Maui's always going to be good. We talked about Marquette. I want to shout him out again. Marquette's been... For as much as I've ragged on Shaka Smart and how, he always loses in the first weekend. You gave me a bunch of crap last year. I gave you a ton of crap.
And you were right.
This Marquette team is going to make the Sweet 16 and possibly beyond. They are that good. They are that tough. I was so impressed watching them defend and play. They gave me some UConn vibes, honestly.
And this has nothing to do with because they beat Purdue, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Legitimately, I know. I think that they are like Marquette is a legitimate Final Four team.
So originally you weren't Shaka Smart about them.
I wasn't shocked to be smart, yes, about them. Correct. So just keep them on your radar. The other team I want to shout out, Drake.
The school, not the
new album.
Correct, not the new album and not the artist.
Certified
Drake. This team. So if you don't know the story about Drake, they've had some really good teams in the past. They were if I remember, a 5 seed 1 year, if
Yeah,
I'm not
08,
mistaken.
yeah.
And then lost that 5-12 game
To Western Kentucky, right?
Western Kentucky,
on the
Ty
shot
Rogers.
Thank you.
Yeah. So they are coached by...
Courtney Lee was on the Western Kentucky team.
He was.
Indiana
He was
guy.
indeed.
Mhm.
So Drake is now coached by Ben McCollum. Now, if you don't know who Ben McCollum is, he came from D2 Northwest Missouri State, who was always really good in basketball. This is his first year coaching in D1. He brought over 4 of his 5 best players from that Northwest Missouri State team, and they have been excellent to start the season. So, if you, by the way, by the time you listen to this pod, they will have played Vanderbilt for the championship of their preseason conference tournament. So, if you want a team that's going
Final
to
Four preview.
Some are asking.
if you want to get weird, they've beaten Florida Gulf Coast, they've beaten Stephen F. Austin, they've beaten Miami, they've beaten Florida Atlantic. They have some decent wins, and they've looked good doing it playing in Charleston. So just keep Drake in the back of your mind as a team that if they somehow are able to win the Missouri Valley, now the Valley's pretty solid this year. If they can win the Valley, that's a team I don't want to see in the tournament. As if they like the 12, 13 seed line, if you're a 4 or 5, I would be very, very scared.
And for people who don't know, again, there was a 10 seed last year in the tournament. They lost their coach and their best player last year. And
That's
they
right,
just
Tucker DeVries.
keep it going.
So Drake would be a team that I would definitely keep on your radar. Teams that have disappointed. We could go so many different directions here. Who do you want to start with, Nick?
I think Dusty wants to go.
Dusty, go first.
Let me get this out of the way. The U. It's pathetic.
That's terrible. They're so bad.
So they actually just lost to VCU about 30 minutes ago. So they are now 3-3 with losses to Drake, Oklahoma State, VCU. Not bad teams to lose to, but they
haven't looked good in any of them.
No.
They really haven't.
Yeah. So
I mean,
get out of my life as well, Miami. Not the Dolphins.
correct.
Yeah, it's amazing how Jim Leonard, I feel like they had the thing rolling out.
He's in retirement.
Yeah, now
This-
it's
this-
He's chilling on South Beach. Life is good.
This is the last lap of his journey that he's done after this. Nigel Pack and Jalen Blackman, a couple of indie kids
I
that are
assume
there.
you're referring to coaching?
Yes.
Did Robbie just call his shot right
I
there?
would never say that about another human being. This is his last lap. Max Shulga, 18 in that game against Miami.
my guy.
So maybe he's back.
Here we go. The Rams we're back on track.
Maybe so. But yes, I agree on Miami. Nick, who's your disappointment so far?
To me, it's got to be the Baylor Bears. To me, because they are. Now,
it makes me sad.
They are now 4-2. Again, they have one good win against St. John's, and it took a miracle to get
That
it.
was a miracle.
They have 2 other losses to the Gonzaga Bulldogs and the Tennessee Volunteers. And boy, did they get throttled in both those basketball games.
Yes.
They're down 27 at halftime to Tennessee. They just look really bad. They're only like 7 deep. They really don't have a bench at all.
They don't. They really
are pretty
don't.
thin. Good call in Kentucky for saying no to Scott Drew. That was very smart by them. Not looking too. That's the story I'm going to tell.
Wait. Hold on. I don't think Kentucky said no. I think Scott Drew said no.
Thank God.
Obviously, but it's not.
You're trying to create a narrative here. Okay, I got you.
I watched a World War II doc about propaganda. I've learned a thing or two. So
we go.
so Scott
History
Drew,
pot again.
We said no, thank you. We want the Pope because again, you're going to be 7 deep. They're getting slaughtered by Tennessee and Gonzaga. So it's just a weird start for Baylor. And again, a really hard Big 12. So
Yeah.
they can get lost in the shuffle. They're no Cincinnati by any means. So
Speaking of the Big 12, Kansas State, get out of my life. Just completely get out of my life. Coleman Hawkins, go kick rocks again. I've told you to kick rocks
I'm
multiple
so happy
times.
you were
go
butt-stalking Coleman Hawkins.
Kansas State, get out. I'm done with you. I'm done with Kansas State. No more. In Arizona, never again. No more from Arizona. I've had enough.
he hates Love and he hates Coleman Hawkins.
I hate them all. The other surprising result that I'm a little disappointed by that just happened about an hour ago. And by the way, Steve Peichel, what are you doing scheduling Rutgers at Kennesaw State? Kennesaw State beat Rutgers today by 79-77.
Not good.
What?
I'm just learning about this right now. Did not see this.
Why are you scheduling? Why are you scheduling a road game at Kennesaw State? What are you doing, Rutgers? No.
Especially, it seems like they were off to a pretty good start, right? Rutgers.
That was primed to be an upset potential. And Kennesaw State is a really solid team. Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, both played pretty well. Rutgers is a very solid team. There's a ceiling just because I don't think they have a ton outside of Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. They got some good pieces, but
It's funny you say it. So Harper and Bailey took 17, 18 shots. The next most amount were 6.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's a 2-man show right now.
it is, and as it should be,
Right.
and that's not surprising. So Rutgers is still going to be a pain in the behind to play in the Big Ten, but
The rack.
that's a bad not necessarily a bad loss. I mean, Kennesaw State's probably going to be like the low 100s of KenPom, but you can't. I don't know why you thought that was a good idea to schedule that game.
They finally got ranked this week too, so it'd be nice to just go through your whole week, be undefeated. But
they're going to be out of the top 25 this week. So we got some crazy games on the schedule. We've got Feast Week is here, y'all. Thanksgiving is this Thursday. We got some big games to come up. We did have some results. Did you see what happened in the Villanova Maryland game?
We were watching. I saw the result. I didn't see.
Okay, you saw the result. Okay.
Football today.
Kyle Neptune almost saved his job. Couldn't do it.
Can he? Is that even if he did win this? Do you think
no, he's done.
Yeah,
he's done. It's not happening. Maryland, thank goodness for the Big Ten. Maryland wins at 76-75. Eric Dixon did his best. Eric Dixon had 38 for Villanova. He tried everything, and Eric Dixon is by far the best player in that Villanova team.
That should be the tagline of the whole Kyle Neptune era. Eric Dixon tried his best. He is trying everything he can.
He did his best.
They have 4 losses, Robbie, and it's November 24th.
They're 3-4. It's not good. Derek Queen needs to get more recognition as being probably one of the better players in college basketball. He had another double-double, 22 and 11 in that game.
He's a freshman, right? This freshman class, dude's been awesome.
Very, very good. Even Julian Reese had a pretty good game, 18 and 10. So Maryland, I think, is going to be another good team in the Big Ten. I don't think the Big Ten has a ton of top-end teams, but they're going to be a lot of really good teams.
Agreed.
Maybe not great teams in the Big Ten. So that's what makes them the third best conference for me.
Agreed.
Other games to keep an eye on. Obviously, we mentioned Pitt and Wisconsin coming up again. By the time you'll hear this pod, the Pitt-Wisconsin game will be over. Drake Vandy coming up tonight at the championship at the Charleston Classic. Monday is when Maui begins. We've got Memphis, UConn, Colorado, Michigan State, Auburn, Iowa State is going to be great. And then Dayton, North Carolina. We got the Fort Myers tip-off, which is Michigan, Virginia Tech, and Xavier in South Carolina. Clemson, South Florida, and the Sunshine Slam. Those are all Monday games. And some of them are early afternoon games. Mm-hmm. So make sure you have the boss button ready to go on your Excel spreadsheet when you're working on your computer before you get the Tuesday. Well, if you get Wednesday, most people get Wednesday off before Thanksgiving, right?
I know a lot of people definitely get Friday. I know I like get Friday
Thursday
off.
and Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's such a great week. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year. Feast
Such
week.
a good
So
week.
excited. Again, Auburn, Iowa State.
It's going to be a
kick
great
off on
game.
Monday.
Going to be a great
Awesome.
game. Tuesday's games. So Vegas has jumped into the preseason tournament with a weird round robin. I don't understand what it is, but San Diego State plays Creighton. Oregon plays Texas A&M. Kansas Duke is the headliner. That's 9 p.m. That's going to be great. Rutgers Notre Dame also plays in Vegas. By the way, Creighton may not have Stephen Ashworth for a while. That could be a big loss for Creighton going forward. Other games that day, Western Kentucky playing in Lexington. So a little interstate rivalry. Grand Canyon plays undefeated Stanford. North Dakota State Samford, a couple potential tournament teams. Keep an eye on UCLA. They host Southern Utah. Ooh. That's a Southern Utah team that is 6-1.
Does anyone know what Southern Utah's mascot is?
Like the Screaming Eagles or
the
some
Suits.
sort?
You're not too far off, Robbie. The Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds. Okay.
Shout the Thunderbirds.
I know it was a weird bird. Okay. Good call. Wednesday, we go to Atlantis. IU has to beat Louisville. West Virginia, Gonzaga, Oklahoma, Providence, Davidson, Arizona. And then the Vegas games continue, but it's not a tournament. So A&M plays Creighton. Oregon jumps in and plays San Diego State. Alabama comes in and plays Rutgers. And then Notre Dame plays Houston. I don't know how it works, but it works.
Can I just comment on Oregon? I had them win the Big Ten. I believe still on the field. They've had some scares to start off the year.
Very big scares, yeah. They've been a little disappointing, to say the least. By the way, if you want to stay up late and watch college basketball, the Notre Dame-Houston game is a 12:30 a.m. Eastern time tip-off. So stay up late and watch the Irish and the Cougars.
You have Thanksgiving off anyways. You might as well
stay up and enjoy the game. Mm-hmm. I agree. Thursday, do you remember when the Wide World of Sports always had it used to be one of the best preseason tournaments when they played that one in Orlando?
Was that a little before my time?
Possibly. Well, it stinks now because Minnesota, Wichita State, Florida, Wake Forest are playing in it.
Remember Wichita State? Remember how good they used to be?
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was a good time. Mm-hmm. Thanksgiving Showcase, Arkansas, Illinois. Mm-hmm. That's a neutral site game. And then Purdue's going to be in San Diego playing at the Rady Children's Invite. Purdue, NC State, rematch the Final Four last year. And then BYU, Ole Miss is on the other side. Winners will play each other. Losers will play each other in that little round robin. And then Palm Springs has USC playing St. Mary's, New Mexico playing Arizona State. Those are all Thanksgiving games. Oh, man. It's going to be so great to have
Cannot
Thanksgiving
wait.
hoops. And then Friday, also want to mention Mississippi State plays UNLV on Thursday. And then Friday, standalone game, Pitt is at Ohio State.
Ooh. Like a true road game?
Yes, true road game.
Very
So
fascinating.
a lot of really good games on the slate. And then obviously we didn't mention, Maui and not Paradise Jam. The Fort Myers tip-off. Those are all games where the winners will play each other, losers will play each other. Atlantis is the same way. So
And
those will continue on.
On Thanksgiving, a lot of people complain about, Cowboys, Giants are on. I can't watch that. Well, boom. We have all this basketball.
We have basketball for
Plenty
you.
of basketball for you right here.
Enjoy the hoops.
And just to clarify some clerical errors, Disney World is in Lake Buena Vista, Florida, not Orlando.
Thank you.
He's right.
Thank you, Disney adult.
He is right. We give facts on the show, Robbie.
We are a factual pod, yes. Hey, a shout out to all of us. We went 3-0. Oh, we're not going to mention the one that does get right. We went 3-0 on our locks for this past
3-0.
week. I hit on
Google that.
McNeese. I hit on McNeese -4.5. They took care of business against North Texas. Nick was just coasting on his under with Purdue and Marquette. The guy is now 3-0 this year on his locks. So we all faded Nick last year. This is not the fade Nick year this year. And then Dusty was feeling real nice with Troy -11.5. We're not going to talk about the one before that. But Dusty is back on track. So I am 1-2 this year, 8-4 overall. Nick is 3-0 this year. He's now at 500 overall. We're back, baby.
Again, overall records. Yeah,
Overall is important.
It's crazy.
And then
Insane.
Dusty's now 1-3 this year, 6-7 overall. Let's talk about our locks. Nick, to you first.
The Creighton Blue Jays play San Diego State in Las Vegas, I believe.
They do indeed.
I love them at bounce back spot here.
Without Stephen Ashworth.
Exactly. The spreads can be even lower without him now. It's still good value. I don't think San Diego State's very good. Creighton's going to be hungry dogs.
So Creighton spread, give you the points. Wow.
Eat that crab. Give me call. I'm feeling cocky. Get Blue Jade.
Dusty, your lock of the week?
It's here. They're winning
Is it
right
still
now.
going?
Okay,
Yeah,
like
they're 25, 6:55 left.
so, but isn't the point of this give people locks to bet on? It's the whole point of this.
Part
Yes.
of it, yes.
Okay, but I wrote
he
it
wrote
down.
it down. I'll give him credit for
I
it.
will send another one
All right.
later this week.
Be honest with me. You didn't realize what time the game started.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I was looking
This is
at today's
crazy.
spreads.
I had to wear a turkey outfit last year. This guy just can just write down locks whenever he wants.
I locked it in before the game. Again, you guys were sitting here next to me when I was making my
I know.
pregame
I know.
bets
I know.
or pre-show notes.
You don't have to tweet it out before or anything. You just can just write it on a piece of paper.
I don't run our social media.
You have a social media. That's just BS. Fine, give it to him.
He's going to get it because right now I'm very disappointed in UMass. You hyped up UMass this year, and they
did.
have not
I did.
been good.
My lock was actually Kennesaw State too. So can I get that? Can I get that as well?
All right, my lock, and I brought some data on this one. We're going to Auburn, Iowa State for my lock. So here's a Monday lock for you. Auburn has covered in every single one of their games this year. Iowa State has covered in just below 50% of their games. Auburn is 12 points above their spread on average.
Wow.
And they only have to cover 3 against Iowa State. Give me all the points for Auburn, baby.
Wow.
Give them all to me.
Those are stats.
Auburn -3. As of now, it could change, but it started 2.5. It's now up to 3. Give me Auburn -3 coming up Monday night. Monday night. Yes, it's Monday night in Maui. And I already hate Iowa State, so it fits perfectly. So give me Auburn, baby, -3.
All right, you want some Monday fun then? If I can
Give me a Monday lock. Give it to me.
tomorrow. Radford, Chicago State,
good
10:30 a.m.
Hold on. 10:30 a.m.?
Yep.
This is awesome.
Jarvis Moss for Radford over 18 points.
I love it. Jarvis Moss.
Who?
Come on the pot. If he hits this, we got to be a Jarvis Moss pot going forward.
He's a senior, 6'4", 200,
What's he averaging?
18.
So he's got to go over 18?
Yep.
Or do you want the hook? You want 18.5 or just over 18?
I don't even know what the line would be. Over 18.
I don't know either.
He's going to beat his average against Chicago State tomorrow.
I'm not saying call 1-800 Gambler if you bet Jarvis Moss at 10:30 a.m. on Monday, but
but
1-800
but
1-800-9 with it.
yes, and Aaron Bradshaw, if you want to talk more.
Come on the pod. We're here.
Tell your side.
Oh, gosh, those are some wild locks.
I love that crap.
Those are some
I'll
wild
text that to you,
locks. All right, Jarvis Moss for
Over
Radford
18.
over 18 points. Okay, how about this? I'll give you the 17.5. So 17.5 points. So if he hits his average, I'll give it to you. Is that fair?
Yep.
I think it's more than fair.
All right.
I love this.
I can't believe this. Okay. All right. As we mentioned at the beginning of the pod, you can be on our podcast. It is speakpipe.com/D1 and Done pod. You can send in your voice messages to the pod, have us answer them on the show. Our good friend of the pod, our GFOP, Jack Carney, a one-time sponsor of the pod, has a question regarding the Purdue Boilermakers, and he wants us to give our thoughts from this past week against the Marshall Thundering Herd.
Hey guys, Jack Carney here, longtime listener, second-time caller. Just had a quick question, and I'm sure you guys touched on this earlier in the show, but as you know, Purdue head coach Matt Painter recently moved away from his typical starting lineup with a 7-footer to having 6'9" Trey Kaufman-Wren at the 5, alongside two smaller wings and Cam Heide and Miles Colvin. And I was thinking it's probably his smallest lineup since like 2006 when he had Carl Landry at the 5 and 6'6" Marcus Green at the 4. Just incredible how long ago that was. But anyways, I'm just curious, do you think it'll work? Do you think they can get enough rebounds? How will they match up against other front lines in the Big Ten? And just wanted to get your thoughts. Boiler up.
Jack, thank you for the question. And I think it's a fantastic question, a good one to talk about, because a team that's their starting center is 6'9", I would be concerned going into the Big Ten, because, again, that's a conference that's now trying to, everything's always moving fast when it comes to college basketball, and the Big Ten is now loaded up on big guys to try to confront how Purdue has played in the past. So when Purdue gets into the Big Ten and plays those games in the Big Ten, I wonder how they're going to do against teams that have 7-footers to try to combat what Zach Edey was doing. Because like Wisconsin and Michigan State, they all got big guys that can rebound. They look good against Marshall. I thought, Heide, Colvin, TK had a good game. Going forward, how does this look for Purdue?
Yeah, first of all, I don't know, think of the Big Ten top of my head. I know, there's Queen and Reese at Maryland, Ballo at IU, but I don't, there's not a Cockburn, a Armando Baycott that's a dominant big that they could run into. But first, I think give credit to Painter. I think the great coaches adjust to each team every year, so for them to adjust and play Trey Kaufman-Wren at the 5 now, so I think just give credit to Painter to that, because I think it's looked good so far, especially, if Kaufman-Wren plays like this, then it's really going to work, so that really helps. So, I don't know, I'm intrigued by it. We have such a small sample size so far, but
very much so.
I think it's the right move, considering what they have. But I think there's definitely nights in the Big Ten you're oh gosh, we're being out rebound 38-24 right now. So I don't know. Which
could happen?
Are you for Robbie?
I like that. Because last year it was the same starting 5 for every single game that Matt Painter had, and he has been in the past prior to probably 2018. He was kind of more set in his ways, he was not going to change what he was doing. And this is the first time where I've kind of seen him be flexible, kind of change how his game goes. I mean, Purdue was only 6 for 16 from 3 in this game against Marshall, still won by 35. I think it's almost as if Matt Painter has kind of accepted the fact he doesn't have a 7-footer that can guard the rim. So I think it's gotten to this point where he just says, you know what, if we're going to give up these shots at the rim, that's fine, but I want to be able to at least try to beat him on the other end a little bit more easily. So I think that was the thinking behind this lineup change is, you kind of go death lineup and go with a 6'9" center. They did this a little bit with Robbie Hummel in 2009, 2010, where they kind of played Hummel at the 5 a little bit. I wonder if this is feasible to continue to play this way going forward, but it is encouraging that they played well with this kind of a position where you can bring Caleb First off the bench, and he had 8 points and was 6 for 6 at the free throw line. TK can move over and slide over and be the 5. I don't know if long term if it's doable, but it shows Purdue can be flexible.
Excuse me. I would say from a basketball standpoint, first of all, Jack, trust your staff.
Yeah.
I mean, they know what they're doing. They're doing their research. They're watching every day. They see them every day on the court. Not even trying to be funny. It's probably different not seeing a 7-footer for Purdue in the starting lineup, right? It's been a while.
It's weird.
But they know what they're doing. They're not just going to throw something out there. And the other thing I would say is, Robbie kind of touched on it, is it could begin up and down. So, the other thing I was going to throw out too is, think about what other schools in the Big Ten have thought in the last, let's say, 7 years. Purdue has the 7-footer. We can't match up with that. Okay, so I know it's different for you all, but Illinois, IU, Michigan State. But I mean, every other team in the Big Ten was thinking the same thing. Like, why are we starting this 6'8" guy when Purdue has Edey coming in at 7'3", right? So trust the staff, and it's not, March doesn't start tomorrow. So see how the next month plays out.
Hashtag trust the staff. I like it.
Hashtag trust the staff. There it is. But yeah, I'm okay with it. I think it makes sense. So, but a great question, Jack, and we appreciate you chiming in. Again, speakpipe.com/D1AndDonePod. You can get your questions on the show, and we may be answering them.
And shout out to Jack for liking my tweet last week.
Oh, thank you for doing that, Jack.
Wow, we never would have known that because you can't see likes anymore.
What did he like?
It was someone saying the most hated Kentucky players.
Oh, are you on that list?
I was not on it.
Wow, that's shocking.
And I tweeted at them and said that
who's number one?
We'd have to pull them up.
Okay.
But
while you're finding that out, we need to turn things over to Nick, because there are so many funnies to go through this week. And Nick, you have new funny music that I get to play for you. Nick's Funny of the Week. Here we go, everyone. Get fired up.
First off, shout out Robbie. He's the best. He's always writing stuff for us. He says everything else. This is great, Robbie. All right, you mentioned it earlier, Robbie. Mr. Ed Cooley was in the news.
Oh, my gosh.
He's always saying some interesting things to the media, I swear. So the first one, Ed Cooley on Jaden Epps' defensive development. Quote, "It's almost like he's a news player. It's something I saw in him his freshman year when he played for that other bull bleep school."
Can we get the actual sound for this? I want to hear what Ed Cooley really said in the moment, because I think it's important to share with all of you.
But I've also seen a growth in Jaden. I've talked to him yesterday in practice. I talked to him today before the game. His development defensively it's almost like it's a new player. But it's something that I saw in him as a freshman year when he played for that other bull school.
I can't believe he said that. I cannot believe he said that.
Well, again, like
the other BS school. Why would you say that?
Well, first of all, Ed Cooley's been the coach at Providence and Georgetown. What like beef could you have?
What prompted you to say that?
With Illinois, like, it'd be one thing if like the Kentucky coach said that about Louisville or something. Right. Whatever you want to do, like, it's so just out of left field. Like,
doesn't make any sense.
And especially like Brad Underwood, of all people.
Yeah.
You want to start beef? I mean, he's always kind of angry.
I know.
So Ed Cooley. All the rumors about him last year. He just stays in the news for...
Matt Underwood?
Who's Matt Underwood?
Mad Underwood.
Oh, Matt Underwood.
I see what you did there.
Dusty's Funny of the Week. The other Funny of the Week, there are some expletives in this one, too. I want to say him. Tyler Eulis, former player at Kentucky, one of my favorite cats of all time. He is now on the coaching staff at Arkansas. He had deleted a tweet this past week. And I quote... "Anyone know how to stop being a cheating lion B-word? Could use some advice." Close quote. So Tyler Eulis is going through it right now. So shout my guy. I just love an assistant coach just tweeting this out of nowhere. So shout to Tyler Eulis. But the Funny of the Week happened in Rupp Arena on Friday night. Did any of you guys see this?
No.
In the first half, Kentucky's playing Jackson State. Rough year. 0-6. Mo Williams, former All-Star guard for the Cavaliers, is their coach. Nonetheless, I don't think he taught them this move. So in the middle of the game in the first half, Jackson State player, I should have gotten his name. I forgot to check. His shoe comes off, okay? Mm-hmm. So Kentucky center runs down court. Okay, so he's beating him down court. The Jackson State guy's like holding his shoe, chasing him down. And as they pass the ball, Kentucky center goes for the dunk. For some reason, I'm not sure what prompted him to do this, flings his shoe at him from the top of the key. And the best part is Garrison dunks it, the Kentucky center, and like looks around like
confused.
Yeah. Like, was there just a shoe thrown at me? And the funniest part is no tech, no foul, no nothing.
Hold on. Is that illegal to do? Is it in the rule book that you can't throw your shoe
Like
at
if
someone?
someone's taking a 3, can you throw your shoe? And,
Yeah,
like,
that's
try to
what I'm
block
saying.
it?
Like, is it in the? Can you like?
The only
what's-
thing I know of, like in baseball, you can't throw your glove at the ball.
Right.
So I wonder if like you can't. Surely you can't throw your
I
shoe at
don't know
someone.
if it's in the rule book.
Because it's a slippery slope. Because next thing you know, you could do a lot of things with a shoe. You know,
Take your jersey off while
your
you're into shooting a free throw.
Right.
And try to, yeah, just get weird.
and certain players, I would not like to see that. Sorry to some of our basketball players out there.
What are you trying to
say? I'm not saying anything at all. I'm just speaking. Okay. Shout out SpeakPipe. Shout out Jackson State. That Mo Williams. New strategy. Shout out Austin Powers, who throws a shoe, honestly. And yeah, Jackson State 0-6, chucking shoes.
Which also brings up one of my favorite basketball moments ever. Listeners, if you've never seen this, go look up Rockets Lakers. Ron Artest. I'm not sure what his name was at the time. I think he was Meta World Peace.
Probably Meta World Peace.
And Trevor Ariza's shoe comes off, and Meta World Peace picks it up. It's like in kind of like the 3 seconds or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And just chucks it into the stands. And Trevor, because this is a fast break,
Yeah.
and Trevor Ariza turns and gives him the most like, what the?
Well, Trevor Ariza's face is what makes it.
Yes.
He's like, come, dude.
Like seriously.
That's such a Ron Artest move. Well, Meta World Peace, whatever that may be. So
Candace's friend at one point.
Thank you.
yes, all that. So
Come on the pod, Ron.
those are some good funnies right there.
College basketball stays delivery.
Oh,
It's the best.
fantastic. All right, it's time to gather around the campfire and enjoy the sweet, sultry sounds of Dusty's story time. I want to get in the mood. I know it's the Masters theme, but
Are we allowed to use this?
Someone tell me no.
Okay. I like it.
So we're all around the campfire.
I just hear Nance's voice right now.
We're just enjoying
Hello, friends.
azaleas, wonderful trees, beautiful weather. If you're feeling the winter doldrums now, gather around as we listen to a great story from our friend Dusty in his time playing college basketball at the Division I level.
So this doesn't have much to do with playing basketball, but one of the funnier things I had that happened there is Alex Legion, who I think I've said on the show before, transferred from Kentucky. He was a 5-star freshman. I was the first person he told. He actually told me I took him to Denny's. I'm pretty sure he only invited me and told me because I had a car and he didn't.
You went to Denny's? Why couldn't you go somewhere else?
Shout
Like
the
a
Grand
steakhouse.
Is it Grand Slam, right? Is that what's called?
Who?
Correct.
Denny's.
Yeah.
What they had.
Oh, the Grand Slam, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shout out.
Well, I was trying to fit in. I was early on the team. And
So you tried to fit in taking him to Denny's.
he chose Denny's.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah,
Never
he
mind.
chose
My
Denny's.
apologies.
It was,
Shout
it was like 1:30 in the morning on like a
Say,
Tuesday.
if you were a true SEC basketball player, you would have taken him to Waffle House, not Denny's.
A Waffle House is a Waffle Home.
Correct.
Okay, well, I was 18, just barely.
We didn't know any better. It's fine.
Barely past puberty, right? For me, late bloomer. So
I just hit my head on the mic. Sorry.
Alex Legion, I go to Denny's. That's when he tells me that he's going to transfer,
Oh,
and I was the first person to know. Which later somehow Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio found out I was the first person to know and claimed that I convinced him to transfer. Another false story.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
No.
Whoa.
I also remember there were allegations that Gillespie was sleeping with Alex Legion's mom, which is a whole other thing.
What? I didn't know.
Okay, I didn't know I was breaking all this. But I was going to say, simply, he finally transfers, I think it was early December. And for those that don't know, most of these, definitely men's basketball programs, the big ones, the teams usually have their own like lodging area.
Yeah.
And Kentucky was the first to do it. And there's NCAA rules around on how there has to be other students that live there as well. Because it has to be a percentage. Maybe that's changed since 2008.
Probably, yeah.
But so if you guys recall, I walked on the team in September. So I was already living in one of the giant dorms with a guy I went to high school with. And when Alex Legion transferred, they're like, hey, Patrick Patterson needs a roommate. We want you to live with him. And
Okay.
I thought about for half a day. And I was like, no. F that. Sorry, I was trying to make sure I didn't actually say it.
Mm-hmm.
F that. They have curfew every single night. Nights before games after being by 8 p.m. I think every night it was 10:30. It was no women allowed after, I think it was
I always said no too.
It was like 7. It was like 7
Yeah,
on.
you're aware of that.
Yeah, so that was good.
Damn.
So they had all these rules. And finally I was like, screw that. I don't want to. So Kyle Campbell, who was my roommate from Noblesville as well.
Shout out Kyle Campbell, KC Masterpiece.
The only lie I could think of was I told the coaching staff that Kyle Campbell is very, very homesick, and I would feel bad leaving my childhood friend and having him live alone. And they're like, that is so admirable of you. But truth is, I just want to be able to party all night and be the king of my dorm.
I think you made the right decision, quite frankly.
Oh, absolutely did.
Yeah,
They called me the king of Kerwin Tower.
I feel like these stories are just you lying to get out of something. Whether it's a ticket, now it's this roommate situation.
The ticket wasn't a lie.
No,
you said it was a lie.
You said you were going to a meeting or you were going to Hilton Head.
Correct. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought, but getting out of the ticket, that didn't get me out of it, though. Lying and saying I was going to my brother's basketball game was a lie, but I still got the ticket.
Okay, well,
it was
still
them
lied
calling
about it,
me
though.
and finding out I was Dusty Mills and them saying, okay, we're just going to knock it down to 5.
Well, obviously, yes. Yeah, that part was not a lie, but it was the one before. Yeah.
Okay, yes. And the fun part about that is I'm not a very good liar. So
That's
why
something a good liar would say.
Touche.
Wow, there's a lot in there in that story I did not know about. I love these. I'm learning so
breaking
much.
news, Dusty forced Alex Legion to transfer from the University of Kentucky. Where did they transfer to, by the way? Do you remember?
Illinois,
I think.
And then he was Central Florida under, I believe, at the time, or FIU, I believe, sorry, under Isaiah Thomas, who, kids, if you don't remember, he was the coach at Florida National for a hot minute.
Okay, Alex Legion had quite a journey.
Remember, he's the one that dunked on me, too.
Yes. So he went from Kentucky to Illinois. He was at Illinois for 2 years. Averaged 3.5 points per game his first year, 2.7 his second year. Then he transferred to FIU for his senior year.
Yeah, under Isaiah Thomas.
Yes. Averaged 13 points there. But he only played 10 games, so he must have gotten hurt. I apologize. He was dismissed in February from a violation of team rules by Isaiah Thomas. If you are getting dismissed by Isaiah Thomas, you must have done something really wrong. To be honest.
Okay, why was he the coach at FIU? How did this happen? He was 26 and 65 in 3 years there.
Well, it's like Green Bay bringing on Doug Gottlieb.
I keep forgetting.
Same thing. It's we have to find a way to make some news, so this is the way we're going to do it. Alex played, by the way, at...
Also, speaking of Green Bay fans, Dolphins at Packers on Thanksgiving.
Big one.
Cannot
he has
wait.
played
in the mix.
So he's played in Hungary. He's played in Italy. He's played in Greece. He played professionally from 2012 to 2019 he played in Saudi Arabia. He's played in a lot of teams.
Come on the pod, Alex.
Come on, Alex.
I was going to say, I want to make it clear, too. I actually reached out to him a few months ago as I'm getting more involved with Kentucky. I really, really like Alex Legion. He was a great guy and just clearly was not in a fun situation. If the allegations about his mom and
that's crazy
were true, then that leads to something like that.
Can we get him to admit that? Can we talk to him about that? If he comes on the pod?
I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
I'll step on the pod and say a coach should never sleep with a player's mother, in my opinion.
Real hot
What a
take.
stance.
Real hot take there.
That's where I draw the line.
Unless it gets her to convince the son to come there.
Unless, I guess, if the coach if it's his son, in which case, that's okay. Right? Yeah.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
They have to stop having sex if he's trying to get his son to go there.
Well, no, if it's his son, then that's his wife.
I'm gonna go find the shovel so you can keep digging your hole deeper here.
What's wrong with what I just said? If it's his son, he can sleep with his mother because that's his wife. Right?
Whatever you say.
Speaking of, on that topic, can I give my shout out?
We mean speaking of.
All right. End of show shout outs. Let's just try to move along from where we were there. Dusty, get us started on your end of show shout outs here.
So, of course, my team of the week, Cornhuskers.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Nebraska, for putting those Creighton MFers in their place.
Yep.
Where they belong.
Where do they belong? Where's Creighton belong?
First weekend loss.
Oh, so they make the tournament.
They make the tournament. I mean, I have them in my Final Four, but they're going to lose them.
I feel like you're just a walking hypocritical thing about Creighton. Like everything about this.
I know we're at the end of the show here, so I'm going along. But like for people who are new to this, why do you hate Creighton? Do you have like a good? I actually don't even know.
He's committed to the bit. He started hating Creighton. It's just
early 2000s. They beat Florida, who I loved, in the first round of the tournament, and I had to listen to it on the day.
Oh, I remember that. That was in Chicago, too.
It was 12-5.
That's right.
Game. And I had to listen to the damn game on the school bus driving home in middle school.
Okay. All right. That's a good starting point.
That's
okay.
where it
That
started.
makes sense. All right.
And they're white as hell. They're annoying. They live in a stupid state. Now I'm probably digging my hole.
Wait, hold on. Omaha's a great... you may not like Nebraska, but Omaha's fantastic.
Wait, you're just giving Nebraska their flowers.
You can't say
I'm
that.
about to give them another flower.
Okay, well, continue on.
Okay, so Nebraska, state champions right now. Since they
Good point.
I guess.
Have they played Nebraska Omaha?
I was about to say, have they played Nebraska Omaha?
don't need to. They're on the same class.
All right.
So I want to shout out to Nebraska's coach from 1954 to 1963, Jerry Bush.
Where are you finding?
I'm sure there's a Penn State joke in here somewhere.
Oh, wow. No.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, Sandusky. But Jerry Bush has the best nickname I've heard in a while. So even though he had no winning seasons, his nickname was Big Bear of the Coliseum.
The Jerry Bush, the Big Bear.
I'm about to blow your mind, by the way. I just pulled up his Wikipedia page.
Yes.
He's Fred Hoiberg's grandpa.
What?
Stop it! Oh my God!
That's what it says on his Wikipedia page. Jerry Bush is the grandfather of current Nebraska head coach Fred Hoiberg. I kid you not.
That's amazing. Jerry Bush.
The Bushman.
At one time, Jerry played for the Fort Wayne Pistons, a semi-professional basketball team in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
So Nebraska's just a family business right now.
It must be.
It's the family biz. Jerry Bush. Jay Bush.
Unreal. Led Toledo to the NCAA tournament in 1953.
There you go. There you
So
go, Bush.
big time there. But yeah, 81 and 132 in his 7 years as the head, or 8 years as the head coach of Nebraska. Not great.
But Big Bear of the Coliseum.
Big Bear of the Coliseum, Jerry Bush.
Wow, we mentioned throwing shoes and Bush. This is like early 2000s throwback right now. This is great. That's an all-time video.
We would be remiss, by the way, if we didn't shout out our good pal Geno Auriemma, who just loves this pod. He listens to it on every occasion that he can. Geno Auriemma set the coaching record for the most wins in a career this past week. Maybe my favorite part of the ceremony of him celebrating his new record was the fact that they actually walked a goat out to the floor at Gamble Pavilion. So very cool. Shout out to Geno Auriemma. One of the greatest coaches of all time.
What number is it at? 1,200?
1272, I think. 1271, 1270, something like that.
As I said to you guys, all fair. I mean,
crazy.
1217.
1217. That's still nuts. That's wild.
he deserves to be that person.
Yes.
I mean, what he's done with women's basketball and how just successful, 11 national titles, I think it is.
And how many Final Fours on top of that? Like
so many more on top of that. His story is incredible. Like, he immigrated from Italy. Like, he is an Italian American, which is even more incredible that he's an immigrant that's come over here and had success. Like, he's an amazing story.
23 Final Fours.
That's insane.
23.
And the other thing I love about him is him and the late Pat Summitt, their rivalry. The fact that they did not get along made it so much fun during those UConn-Tennessee days.
And I wish we would have had that in the later 2000s where women's basketball is starting to become more popular and more mainstream, because if you were a college basketball fan, like, that was the rivalry, was Pat Summitt versus Geno Auriemma's Tennessee versus UConn teams. Those were great times. So,
and they're still doing it, by the way. UConn,
yes.
they're still
really, really good.
Still really good.
And they're one of the best teams in the country this year. Probably going to be a Final Four team with Paige Beckers and Ashlyn Shea that's there now. So, yeah. They're going to be very good. Any end of show shout-outs, Nicholas?
Nope. I'm all good on my end.
Wow. I want to shout out how terrible the Colts offensive line was today.
Oh, my God. Why stop there? Colts tight ends stink.
Colts tight ends.
The GM stinks. The defense is not ever good. No pass rush. No bueno.
But they're in the mix.
In the hunt.
They're in the hunt.
We're in the hunt,
Be
babe.
specific, they're in the hunt.
And the Pacers are tied with the Wizards in the second quarter.
Woo! Exciting pro parade. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the D1 and Done pod. It feels like we find a way to put our foot in our mouths in more way than one every time when we do this podcast. But again, we'll be back again next week. We hope all of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We are thankful for all of you for letting us talk incoherently about college basketball every single time we come on this
You're right,
podcast.
you have a shout. Shout our fans. Anyone who listens to a show, thank you.
We appreciate all of you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the feast week. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Enjoy the feast week. Enjoy the college hoops. Enjoy the time with family and friends. And we will see you next time on the D1 and Done pod. Until next time, have a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week.